Hello, fellow Rebel Capitals. Hope you're well. Let's get into the news. More kind of alarming stuff as far as I'm concerned. And I know this may rub some people the wrong way, but if it does, then you need to be rubbed the wrong way. and I'm happy to be the person to do it. So let's dive into the news I am referring to. Oh, where did it go? Come on. Well, I guess we can start here. So CNBC homepage.
Sure.
Yeah, screen share. Sorry about that. There we go. CNBC homepage. And the game plan today, guys, just FYI, is I want to go over this story. I'm going to be talking to Jesse Felder at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then I want to come back at the end of the day and do a wrap on markets, on assets, what's going on with crypto, gold, oil, everything. And then do a summary of what Jerome Powell said today. And then look at the yield curve, determine what happened based on his comments, and then try to kind of think through how that will play out going into March and the next Fed meeting. But right now, I want to discuss this article, and this is from, I can never pronounce this guy's last name, Abramovich. I know I'm getting that wrong, but he is selling the soccer team he owns, Chelsea, which is a big deal. That would be like selling the Yankees or something like that. As I'm not a huge, I don't know soccer that well, but I know Chelsea's a very famous team over there. And so a lot of people may say, well, this is good, this is great. You know, these we need to be punishing all Russians just indiscriminately because Putin is so bad that we need to take our wrath out on every single Russian, and in hopes that those Russian people get angry at Putin and somehow prevent him from continuing to do what he's doing in Ukraine. And I think other people would say, well, George, well, these oligarchs, they deserve this because they've been part of what Putin is doing. Well, that may be true, but let's think about the slippery slope. This is not isolated to the oligarchs. As you guys maybe watched the video yesterday that I did, they're targeting the athletes, they're targeting the teams, they're targeting performers on Broadway in New York City. They are targeting students, for heaven's sakes, and not even just people who say, I love Putin. No. It's just, are you Russian? Then you need to be punished. And guys, this is slippery slope isn't even the right term. I mean, we're headed, if we're not careful here, we are potentially going to do something that we will look back on in 20, 30, 40, 50 years in humiliation and shame. The same way we look back at what we did during World War II to the Japanese in horror and in shame. The same way we look at what we did with the Jim Crow laws. It's going to be one of those types of events. And so many people are so emotional that they're like, no, that's not it. We have to just, we're sending a message to Russia. We're sending a message to Putin. No, you're not. What you're doing is you've got a cost-benefit analysis here. There is zero benefit. And now, maybe there is with the oligarchs. Okay, fine. That's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the slippery slope when you start lumping all Russians into this category. So it's not just Putin bad, it's Russia bad. And then it's not just Russia bad, it's Russians bad. all Russians, just bad. And you say, oh, George, well, that's not what they're talking about here. Fine. But that's where this leads. That's where this leads. So, more specifically, why he's selling, because he knows that he is now persona non grata. And so basically, let me see if I can read. Here we go. This is basically kind of what he's doing. He said, as I've stated before, I've always taken decisions with the club's best interest at heart. So I believe what his position is he understands that he is the team is being associated with him, and he is being associated with the team, and he doesn't want that negative energy that's going towards him, whether it's justified or not. That's not the point. He just doesn't want that reflected or absorbed by the team and the athletes. So he's saying, instead of doing that, I'm just going to sell and, just to take the pressure off of the club, I think. And then I guess he's giving the proceeds to a charity that is supposed to help the people who have suffered in Ukraine. And you can say, oh, he's just doing that for PR. Yep, maybe, probably. But again, that's not my point. My point is, if it's getting to this extreme, regardless of whether or not this is justified with this particular individual, this is a mindset, or it's not even a mindset, because that would imply thinking. This is a fever pitch level of emotion that is becoming more and more pervasive in Europe and in the United States. And we have to be very, very careful, because, like I said yesterday, when you start judging people as groups and not as individuals, bad things happen. And I'm very concerned. And I mean, if any of you have been on social media, I'm sure, your Facebook friends and whatnot, some of them would even agree that we should be, expelling Russian students and sending them back to Russia. I have no words for how insane that is. But I think you guys understand my point. It's really that, I mean, just for a moment, think about if you were Russian, right? And I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, George, think about if you're Ukrainian. Yeah, okay, fair point. And we need to show sympathy and support. But just because you're hurting Russians doesn't mean you're helping Ukrainians. That's the disconnect for people. They think that any personal pain we can cause any Russian anywhere in the world is going to somehow benefit Ukraine, even if it's just showing our support from a moral standpoint, or as far as morale, maybe not moral, but from a morale standpoint, saying, hey, Ukrainians, look at us. We're taking the wrath, and we are directing that wrath at all Russian citizens across the world, just to make you guys feel good and give you guys support to push back against the Russian troops. I mean, that makes no sense. That makes zero sense. Again, you are not helping Ukrainians by hurting Russians that have nothing to do with this. Absolutely nothing. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying that the oligarchs have nothing to do with this. I'm saying where this leads is we are going to start persecuting people that have as little to do with Russia and Ukraine as you or I. I mean, where I really get worried about where this goes is that you start seeing what is it when you see the attacks on certain not well, I'll get into that in a separate video when I can gather my thoughts, because I really want to be careful about what I say here. So I'll go ahead and end the video there. And just as another heads up, as another warning to all of the rebel capitalists here, to make sure that we're just using logic and critical thinking and trying to have sympathy and empathy, not just for Ukrainians, but for Russians that are just like you and I and have nothing to do with what is going on with the horrible acts of Putin towards the Ukrainians. It's very complex, to say the least. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. As always, make sure that you're standing up for freedom, liberty, a free market capitalism, and we'll see you on the next